There has been some debate about a thing called the Aussie Pogue. Now, the Aussie Pogue is a watch variant that many people say never existed, in part because there was never documentation for them. What the Aussie Pogue is a 6139, 6002, or rarely a 6139, 6001 gold dialed watch with a black indicator ring. I remember years and years ago when they first started showing up, people would say that they were something that was created in a service center or it was a parts replacement thing. And the people just complained about them. They said they didn't really exist. Now, this is an extremely rough example, but it's valuable to me in terms of documentation or lack thereof. This is an original watch. It's a one-owner watch, and that person was not very kind to it, but it is original. This is a 1976 Aussie Pogue, and it had, when it came to me, it had a correct original bracelet and everything else like that, which I have in a box. I actually couldn't locate it quickly enough to make this video, but somebody had a question about it, and I thought I would talk about them. The 6139 6002 Aussie Pogue is a real variant. We know that not just because of watches like this. And this is an original one-owner watch, and the guy wasn't real nice to it, but this is the original watch, and it was correct in every single way. There are some other watches that I've had that I wish I still had. I got this one on eBay. This is an old eBay photograph, and this watch still exists. This was a one-owner watch. 6139, this was a 6001 proof. And so this had a couple, this was absolutely correct watch in that the 6000, the non-6000s didn't have the notch case. They don't seem to have had the notch case. It has the two-part hand, but it had this original configuration, which is extremely cool. But again, Aussie Pogue kind of thing. Now that one didn't have its bracelet, so that made it a little tougher. Here's a closely related model, also an Australian variant, again with a differently colored dial and the indicator ring in black, with the correct Stellux President bracelet. This one is from 1972, but it's the same kind of configuration, and it kind of suffered, these silver dials kind of suffered the same thing in that people said, oh, well, it's not a really real model, these didn't really exist, blah, 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 all this other kind of stuff. But we've seen a lot of these that are completely genuine. I've seen a number of these that were clearly never restored. This one had never been restored before it came here. It was a one-owner watch, and I put it together like this. It had no servicing marks inside the case back, and there it is. And that's what they look like with this President bracelet, just like this. Another thing, I mean, we have anecdotes. My friend Adrian Selick, who runs Vintage Time Australia, his father owned one of these. And he has a period photograph of his father wearing his Aussie Pogue. Now, I think they're really cool. They're a cool variant, but people still say, well, you know, even with all that, they're not real. It's not a real model because you don't have any documentation for them. Okay, all right, fine. Let's do this. More than a year ago, I found this on eBay. This is from 1970, I believe. It is a brochure for a company called Universal Suppliers. They seem to have been based in, I think, Singapore. I'll have to look and see. But it was basically like you could buy watches in bulk from them. I'm sorry, they were in Hong Kong. It says so right there. So they had all this different stuff that you could buy. So they had all these, what looks like, almost like overstock. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna unfold this. Hang on. So anyway, this brochure, I was like, my gosh, it's so great. Because these are all the Seiko models that you could buy that they sold, sold in bulk. And it's an interesting mix of early model, late models. So it's like late 60s and early 70s models, but they're all absolutely known variants. Every single one is a watch model that I recognize. These are really cool. I just restored one of those. Standard Bellmatics. So you could write this company. There's a little form attached to this thing. There's an LM. There's a little form attached to these things, and you could mail it in and get your watch models. There's a world time for you. There's a Navigator. There's a 6105 8000 Though they call it, weirdly enough, the 8110, which is strange. They got the wrong code on this, but that's an original watch. You can see the rally diver, the 70-meter sport diver. You keep going along. See these different dress watches. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Satoki Zara. That's a jumbo. This is one of those cool pieces that has that pierced metal bracelet based on a BMW steering wheel. And then we have this. Well, what's that? It's a 6139 6000. They call it a chronograph diver. But it's got a silver or gold dial and a black indicator ring. And what looks like the Stellux, it looks like it's got the very rare Stellux bracelet, which I've only seen a few of. Next to a 6139 7000. Well, I think that is a 7002, but maybe it's a 7001. It's a baby jumbo there. And there it is. So all of these are known models. Every single one of them is a known model, okay? For this model to not be a genuine variant, you would have to, basically you'd have to be moving the goalposts and say, okay, every single one of these, yeah, these are all known models. We recognize every single one of them, except that one, it's not real, which is nonsense. It's a known variant. There it is. Based on, this is a silver dial. We know this model is a silver dial, and you can see the color here is a little darker. I'm assuming that that was a gold dial, but it could have been a silver. But no matter what, the light dial with the dark indicator ring, there it is. So if anybody says the Aussie Pogue was not a model, well, we can show them that. I mean, this is an early one. That's proof. Proof there with a notch crown and a one-piece sweep, and the Stellux chiclet bracelet. But come on now, come on. Look at that, 40 bucks. 40 bucks for a 6105. Boy, who wouldn't cough up for that? I wonder what that is in today's dollars. Okay, thank you much. I was just hoping to clear that up. No more Aussie Pogue confusion. Okay, bye-bye.